Let's go, Grandma.
Watch your mouth, rat boy.
So Roguebook is a game that looks very stunning and has a good presentation when you do start up the game, but then when you start playing the game and do beat it, it's like, wasn't there any more? Let's just look at the starting cutscene of the game.
Long after the chronicles of Gigabyte. If one were to look in a secluded place, through long forgotten ruins near the sacred forest, hidden underneath the tallest trees in the world of Feria, one would find the secret house of an old adventurer. The frog thief, some have called him. And in that small house, there is a shop. And in that shop, there is a book. And in that book, is a whole new world.
So this cutscene is pretty neat, and sad thing is it's the only cutscene in the game, and for me it was like when I viewed this cutscene it was like very nice and hope to see more, but it's sadly it's the only cutscene and it's just the cutscene to start. You know, it builds up the menu. But they do give you very beautiful artwork when playing the game to give you a perspective where you are or what is going on or what is just happening. It's like a fairy tale storytelling with pictures like in good old days. The game looks very nice because of this, but is it though? Looks can be deceiving. So let's start off with the visuals of the game. It looks very good, like I said before. The menu presentation is really nice, but the menu itself isn't really that interesting. It just says start run, or you can see the heroes pre-upgrades and the progression of the characters and party. So when you click on start run, you go into the Roguebook, and here you will be dropped down in one of the first pages, or let's say first dungeon to make it easier to understand. At first, it is not stunning, but if you reveal the blank areas with inks, the pages are getting revealed, and the page, or let's say board, you're playing on looks very nice. If you go in battles, the visuals are even crisper with a lot of character details, and the background gives you an idea how the level looks like in the overall perspective of how the dungeon is looking. The cards you play are very detailed, and the artwork on the cards will create a perspective or an idea on what the card presents. By this I mean how the attack will look like, how the allies you summon will look, and what they do. To say it in short, the artwork tells what is happening, even though when you do play the cards, you don't really see it happening on screen. Only like a fixed downgraded animation to give it somewhat action when you play the cards. And the allies are just card art in a circle below the characters, and if they do attack, they just bounce back and forth to attack the enemies, but doesn't look that stunning. I do say that is fine for me, but if you want to talk about actual visuals, it would have looked even better if the animation also did what was drawn on the cards, plus make your summoned allies appear in spiritual form or just live form next to you, so it looks that they're actually there helping you. If you do beat the dungeon, you will go to the next page / dungeon. Here you will be presented with beautiful artwork of the next page world. So you gotta feel how it will look like. In the next dungeon, it goes the same. You have to reveal the blank pages with inks to reveal how it looks like and so on. After you completed the second page, you go to the final page. And there are only 3 pages as of right now, or dungeons in the world. And I think that's kind of scarce, but whatever. And it looks different again, the third page. So you can see that you are in another world, what looks very good. In the runs you can find also scrolls laying on the board. If you do interact with them, you get beautiful artwork pieces presented to you with a small story of getting buffs or items, etc. to help you on your current run. but the artwork tells what is happening. And when I do see the scrolls, I'm always eager to see a new artwork piece every time I pick them up because they just look very good. Now let's talk about the music presentation. It is fitting to a fairy tale aspect because the game looks like you are in a fairy tale book. So yeah, it is pretty fitting, the music, but it's not over the top or anything. When you are in the board perspective, the music is a calm sound like you are in some fairy tale forest, what you actually are in the first dungeon. When you are in battles, you get this action tune, which again is fitting because you're fighting, but it is just standard battle music. And if you win, you get this happy tune to clarify you have won. And that is with every sound when you won, only different ones with boss fights repeating the game. There is one music track that stands out, and that is the board track when you are in the final dungeon, where in this dungeon you are in a world that has been destroyed by magma or some other apocalyptic reason. But listening to the music that is played in this dungeon, it really presents the atmosphere of the dungeon. The sound design of the actions and fights are actually pretty good. When you do play cards, you mostly get a different sound for the different types of cards you play, so the action makes the sound unique. The same goes for enemy actions. By different types, I mean attacking, debuffing, blocking, and so on. And each enemy will have another sound to them to make the enemies stand out from each other. So the sound design is pretty good, but it's not like super over the top, but it's pretty good, yeah. Okay, now the real juicy stuff. We're gonna talk about the gameplay. And oh boy, you know, if RNG had a brother, it was called this game. The thing in this game is that you have to be relying too much on luck to get stuff and runs. The main things are the right cards for the run, the right pathing of items around the board, and also the blocking and attacking aspect in the combat really has an issue. It is just you have minor control of when you win or not in the game. So let's get into the mechanics. So you start with 2 characters. You got 4 in total, but only are allowed to have 2 at a time, but that is pretty fine. Now you're moving on the board, you have to reveal blank pages of the dungeons so you can get cards, buffs, gold, gems, and battles. You want to get cards ASAP because if you got shitty cards, you will lose sooner rather than later. And how to get them is by going to Vaults of Wisdom or buy them from the shop or special interaction with scrolls. For this you will need to find gold and reveal blank pages. Best way to reveal blank pages is by doing a battle and getting inked that reveal areas in a straight line, and then use a brush at the end of it to reveal a large area to get a chance to get something useful. Again, it is RNG what stuff you can get on the board because locations of stuff is always randomized, but mostly you will find something good. You want to reveal stuff around battles and dungeons because winning battles gives you more brushes and ink to reveal more areas. I do have one thing to say about this. Even if you fight all battles, it still feels like you could have revealed so much more to gain stuff because the board is just way too large to even reveal everything. Stuff is hidden at the sides of the board, what is not even worth going to because you still need to focus on getting fights for more inks, otherwise you can't even reveal anything. And battles aren't in the corners most of the time, so yeah, going to corners is not smart at all. There are some solutions for this, maybe more battles or make the edges of the board more narrow so the board is smaller so you can find more stuff in the middle of the board and not the edges. For battles, you have to fight enemies with your cards in turns, and the cards you play cost energy, which you will have 3 of at the start, and can increase by item buffs or even other cards. But let's continue. Most cards will be around attacking, defending, buffing, debuffing, and summoning. The same goes for the enemies. The combat is pretty simple really, but it's pretty unfair. The reason why this is because your cards are presented to you at random, obviously because it's a deck builder, but now attacking and the blocking mechanic. So the enemies are about to attack, but the cards you have in your hand doesn't contain any blocking cards, so you have to take full damage from the enemy's attack. So yeah, that sucks pretty much. Now you can attack the enemies with your cards, yeah, that is fine, but enemies in the game sometimes hit so fucking hard, it is just stupid, so you need to block, and enemies mostly have very large health pools, so you're not able to kill them before they have launched their attacks. So now, next turn, now you get your defend cards, and guess what? All cards in your hands are now defend cards. That's pretty sweet, but wait, the enemy is now going to buff himself up, so you will be needing to attack with attack cards right now, because defending is pretty useless if the enemy is not attacking. So you go to the next turn, now the enemy is buffed up and he's going to attack this turn with more damage, but now because you had most of your defend cards last turn, you won't be able to defend against the enemy buffed attack, so you probably will die or at least get very low. So fights are really out of your control most of the time, what is pretty annoying and unsatisfying. Let's say if you do survive the battle with a lot of damage taken in fights, but your characters are almost dead now and there are ways to heal. You can find healing consumables on the boards what have a random location, so this means you have a chance to not even get them, and they only heal like 10 for both characters, while most battles will leave you almost dead for sure because of bad RNG. So again, most of the stuff is just out of your control in this game, what is just not fun at all if it happens. The combat is still enjoyable though. I really like that you play two characters at once and they will be needing to switch out to defend and take the enemy's hits. What is a nice idea, but because of bad RNG, this really doesn't work most of the time. In terms of characters, I like them all except for a Granny, because she has support and summoning cards that can be really good, but mostly because of bad RNG, you can't get her good cards, so she is mostly useless. Sarah is focused more on dealing damage, but still can block very well, and buffing she does also very well. Chiroku is more focused on blocking and AoE attacks, what is like must have really, because AoE attacks are super overpowered to one-shot battles, and blocking is something you really need in the game because enemies hit really hard. And Cypher is really...
Watch your mouth, rat boy.
The best character because he can do everything really. He can buff, debuff, attack, hard, defend and summon. He's really the perfect guy to play the game, and the rage mechanic he has really makes his cards overpowered. So for me the best team is Cypher and Soroku. Now there are also gems you can put in the cards, but well, they're pretty useful, but the chance of getting them or even a chance of getting a good one is scarce. So again, RNG is a factor on this, what's pretty bad already. The RNG can be worked in your favor sometimes as well, because the only time I beat the game I got a lot of overpowered synergies with some cards, gems and buffs, or just one-shot enemies, but is that really fun? It is nice to win like that for sure, but next turn you get like shitty RNG and you lose. So you can only win if you're really lucky to get overpowered stuff. I don't think that is how the game should work, but it works like it, and it's not really fun. You can increase the RNG with pages before starting the run. These are rewarded for playing the game, but at the start of the game the RNG is just annoying, and getting the upgrades costs a lot of pages, and to get a lot of pages you will need to beat the game. With that you first have to beat the game with already bad RNG because you got no upgrades. If you do beat the game, you can beat the game again with its end game difficulty modifiers, but again you will first have to beat the game with the shitty RNG, so yeah, it's more annoying than enjoyable, really. So I'm gonna talk about the story in this game. There is not much to spoil because there is no story. It goes about that you're stuck in the Roguebook and the only way out is to go through the other pages and fight the bosses at the end for each one. But the game only has 3 dungeons as of right now, and if you enter them, Master Shifu is going to tell you what is going on here, and that's it. That's pretty much it. I have beaten the game in 3 tries. What I was like after completing it, is this game early access or something? This game really lacks content. but I've beaten it, and for the story, it's not even there. You get no cutscenes during the game. If you do beat the final boss, it says congrats, you have beaten the Roguebook. No artwork, no cutscene, nothing. At least when you enter another dungeon, you get amazing artwork of how the area looks like, but that's also it. I found it missed potential with the very good cutscene loading up the game and the beautiful artwork. They could have at least did something with it more to tell a story, but for the game, it doesn't need a story really. If it was there, it would be nice, of course, but the main issue is still it lacks content, plus the gameplay is not polished. So my conclusion, the game feels really unsatisfying. The gameplay revolves too much on RNG luck, what makes it unfair to win runs. The game has the potential to tell a story in a roguelike setting, but doesn't make use of its amazing artwork. And cutscenes, even though there was only one cutscene, but they really missed out here to tell a story, or at least just make more use of cutscenes. If you do beat the game, the replayability is nothing special. You can beat the game with difficulty modifiers, but again, doesn't matter because everything is based on RNG, whether you win or not. And the only reward from beating it on the difficulty modifiers is that you get more pages to upgrade stats for better RNG before the run. What is not rewarding, and now I'm coming to what the game sells for, is 25 bucks. What is in my opinion not worth it right now because it really lacks content. But that is not really the issue, to be honest. The issue is that it also has a deluxe edition with ARC packs in the price. And then I'm like, why wouldn't you put it in the game to unlock so you get at least some more rewarding stuff to play the game, you know? I mean, why would you have to pay to get stuff for the game? It's not like a AAA game that can get away with this shit. But, you know, it also feels like this game was a cash grab game where the only reason it was made for making money. And also this hero skin pack, again, like, make it unlockable by completing stuff in the game itself, like beating that game on higher difficulty modifiers or something. You feel like you get something rewarding from playing the game, and, you know, getting skins is pretty, I don't know, neat, and gives more replayability because now your character looks, like, different. But that will, like, only go for a couple of runs, and then you're just done with the skin, and then you want a new one, or just don't care. There are coming updates, and I saw there was sort of a side dungeon within the dungeon that will bring more content, but, you know, why not make a full-fledged dungeon on its own? I think the game just needs more dungeons and more variety to keep on playing. Some issues around the RNG need to be made better. That maybe you should be able to reveal the board some more with more brushes and ink, so you can at least get a lot of stuff to make yourself stronger during the run, and make the board smaller with the same amount of stuff you can find, so you're at least have the potential to get strong enough with the RNG in the game. I guess I like the game, but it feels like you rely too much on luck with RNG, whether you win or not in the game. What is just out of your control, and it is unsatisfying for me, and it's pretty annoying to keep on playing in the game. It should be more that your decision making should dictate what happens in the game, but that just gets destroyed by the RNG factor. Also, I hope the game gets more content, because it's not a lot the game offers as of right now, how it is. But wrapping things up, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do want to see more of these reviews, give the video a thumbs up to let me know if you liked it. Comment down below if you do have any game recommendations to talk about. And if you are new here, you can subscribe for more gaming content, just like this one. But I thank you guys for watching, and I catch you all next time.